Well, Beekly, it's not much, but it is festive. Don't you think?
No. Beekly, sleepy, sleepy, sleepy. Oh. Beekly gone sleepy, night, night.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't realize it was so late. Let's get you to bed. Okay, here you go. And here's Mr. Pizza.
Oh, Mr. Pizza. Beekly love Mr. Pizza.
So, Beekly, what kind of story do you want to hear tonight? Something spooky, something funny?
Spooky Christmas. Christmas spooky. Spooky, spooky. Spooky.
Spooky Christmas. I think I've got something. 1 second. Okay, Beekly, here's a scary Christmas story. 'Twas the eve of St. Nick, and all about town, the bad girls and boys were all wearing frowns. For while the good kids were expecting treats, the bad children only prepared to get beat. For good children who obey and act well get presents from St. Nicholas and everything's swell. But for bad kids who fight and make a fuss, they get a visit from the dreaded Krampus. Half goat and half demon, dressed in black rags, covered in chains, and inside his bag he carries a switch to beat bad girls and boys, and leaves a lump of coal without any joy. So be aware of your deeds throughout the year, for if you're bad, your gift will be fear. So think before you fight or make a fuss, or you may meet up with the horrible Krampus.
Beekly be good. Beekly's promise. Beekly be very, very good. Beekly be good. Yes.
It's okay, Beekly. I know how to get rid of him. Mr. Krampus, there's some schnapps in that top drawer.
Oh, donkey, sir. But I will beat your path unless you do something for me.
But Beekly isn't bad. Beekly's not an angel, but he's a good alien. Besides, you're only supposed to punish children who don't obey their parents and don't uphold their Christian duty. At least that's the way it's been since the early Holy Roman Empire.
Exactly. You have to set right what is wrong. You must review the last thing to bear my name. You must explain why it was wrong. Why it takes away from my law and turns me into nothing more than a slasher villain.
You mean the 2015 film Krampus? Okay, I will, if you don't beat my alien, and I can cook something along the way.
Oh?
It's just the way I work.
Well, if you must, do as you will.
But before we get into any of that, hey y'all, I'm Derek, welcome to Bad Movie Fry Night, and tonight we're talking about Krampus. The Krampus is, in traditional Central Germanic folklore, a companion of St. Nicholas, and acts as the malevolent foil for the giver of gifts to good children. This idea is found throughout areas of the old Holy Roman Empire and the Habsburg dynasty, and is used to distill a sense of morality in kids. Boiled down, it goes like this. Be good and Santa will bring you presents. Be bad and Krampus, or Black Pete, or Knecht Ruprecht, will beat you with a birch switch and leave you with nothing but bruises and a lump of coal. The Krampus is still a major piece of folklore in some parts of Central Europe. The night of December 5th is Krampusnacht, or the Night of the Krampus, where a man dresses as the Krampus and marches down the high street, visiting businesses and homes and leaving coal and bundles of birch twigs unless you give him schnapps. And since America is such a melting pot, of course Krampus made his way over here. There are Krampusnacht celebrations all throughout America, from Chicago to Washington, D.C., and Hollywood has exploited him several times. There have been several variations of Krampus in film and TV, from TV Supernatural to a show on Netflix that I highly recommend, Christmas Horror Story. But the movie we're watching tonight is special. And I can sum up why it's special in one word: motivation. I'll get to that in a little bit. But since this is an American movie with Germanic folklore, I'm making a Germanic dish with an American twist: Jaegerschnitzel Sliders. Right now, I'm just pickling some cabbage. What I did was I cut up half a red cabbage and 2 Granny Smith apples and fried it in butter, and then I added some apple cider vinegar, some water, some clove and nutmeg and salt and pepper, and now I'm just letting that stew for a little bit, about an hour and a half, just until it's about soft. So let's get started. Our film begins with a credit sequence where a classic Christmas song is playing over the chaos of a mall around Christmas. Now, this seems trite at first, but it's actually a clever way to set up the mood of the film. The film is attempting to be a morality play about the true meaning of Christmas, and results in chaos for forgetting it. So, the juxtaposition of a classic Bing Crosby Christmas song against the background of a madhouse of shopping is a subtle way to get you ready for the movie. Anyways, cut to a German grandma baking in a kitchen, and a family returns from shopping, and the tension soon mounts. We find out that everyone but the son, Max, and the grandma are totally stressed out and have totally forgotten the meaning of Christmas. Then we get the extended family, who are written as obnoxious as possible. And there are problems in this film, but it actually deals with the stress of dealing with family members you don't normally like around the holidays pretty well. But this raises a question. What is family? I don't want to cause controversy or anything, but I've always believed that there's a choice in your family. See, there are blood relations I don't even talk to. The reason being is they only call me up when they need something from me. Not me, just my wallet. However, I've met people through work and through school that always have my back, and I wouldn't trade them for any cousin who just calls up when they need money. That's just me. Who am I to say? But anyways, now I'm starting on the Jaegerschnitzel. Jaegerschnitzel actually translates to hunter's sausage, but you can easily make it out of pork cutlets. So what I'm going to do is dredge these in egg and then in breadcrumbs. Then they're going to be ready for frying. Okay, so after a tense dinner, Max decides there's no hope for his family and tears up his note to Santa and throws it to the wind, which apparently transforms the town into a Festivus Silent Hill. Everyone wakes up in the morning to find there's no power and no visibility. At least one of those problems could have been solved by natural gas. Sure, you still couldn't see anything, but at least you'd be warm and have hot water. Anyways, the daughter of the host family decides to go see her boyfriend, but ends up meeting the Krampus and becoming its first victim. Cut back to the house, and apparently it's nighttime. But that could be the storm. I don't know, and they're just now aware that the girl hasn't been home yet. And the German grandma is busying herself keeping the fire hot. So yeah, you can tell she knows more than she's letting on. So the father and uncle go out to try to find the girl. The uncle almost gets eaten, and they head back to the house. So that furthered the plot. Now let's fry this Jaegerschnitzel. In this pan, I've got a little bit of butter and a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm just going to place the Jaegerschnitzel in it and flip it halfway through. This should take just a few minutes. Now everyone falls asleep, and then the fire goes out, and a gingerbread man comes down the chimney. So the fat kid with no lines decides to eat it, which leads him to being pulled up the flue. So what else can happen now but some exposition? That makes sense. The German grandma tells the story of how she called the Krampus when she was a girl, and she apparently has Tim Burton powers, since now we're in the Nightmare Before Christmas. In this story, she explains how the Krampus punishes those who have forgotten the spirit of giving and sacrifice. Just remember that point. It's going towards an argument I have to make later. Anyways, this now leads to everyone getting taken, and also the creepiest scene in the movie. This is why I love practical effects. This Jack-in-the-Box is an actual puppet, and it looks real. If it were CGI, no matter how good, it would still look like a cartoon because it's cartoonish in nature. Anyways, everyone decides to leave to get to an abandoned snowplow. All but the German grandma, who stays behind to face the Krampus. So let's start on the gravy. Yeah, there's gravy too. I know it sounds weird, but it tastes really good. So in this pan, the same pan that I did the pork cutlets in, I drained off some of the fat, kept some of the fat in, and I'm just browning about a pound of mushrooms. To that, I'm going to add about a tablespoon flour and make a roux. After that, I'm going to add some cream, salt and pepper to taste, and then you're good to go. Now, everyone runs towards the snowplow, and the father sacrifices himself so his family can live. Then, the two mothers sacrifice themselves so the children can live. And then we're just left with Max, who decides he wants to face the Krampus. So he goes to the Krampus and offers to sacrifice himself so his family can live. And this is where the major problem with the movie comes into play. You see, this movie sets itself up as a morality play. Basically, the characters have to learn the true spirit of Christmas, in this case, sacrifice and giving, or suffer the consequences. This makes the Krampus have a genuine motivation in the context of the story. He's the punisher of the wicked who works as a catalyst of change. If that's the case, then at least 5 characters should survive. Grandma, the dad, the mom, the other mom, and Max. However, even though all 5 act selfishly, or sacrificially, they are not spared. That messes up the motivation of the villain and screws up the morality play setup of the movie. In morality plays, there's a forgiveness to be expected. If you learn your lesson, then you survive. But since all 5 end up in the clutches of the Krampus, it makes the Krampus seem petty and psychopathic. Anyways, after the confrontation between Max and Krampus, Max wakes up in his bed and sees it's Christmas, and he goes down to open presents. He receives a bell from the Krampus, and soon the entire family realizes something's wrong. And it's revealed they're now living in a snow globe. Personally, I prefer the alternate ending available on the DVD. It's more vague and more hopeful, rather than Krampus is just a big jerk. Anyways, let's build these sliders. You put the Jaegerschnitzel on bottom, cover that with the mushroom gravy, and then cover that with the cabbage. And of course you can serve it with fries. So, final thoughts on the film. I'll start by saying, I like this movie. It's a fun holiday horror film, sort of in the vein of Gremlins. But unlike Gremlins, which could happen at any time of the year, this is specifically a Christmas movie. This movie was written and directed by the same group that did the Halloween film Trick or Treat. And just like that movie, this film is completely dependent on the time of year it's set. I would really like them to do a Thanksgiving film, so I got more to work with after next year. But as for this movie, there's problems. The message is confusing, as I've pointed out. If you want to do a movie as a morality play, which this sets itself up to be, then you need to be dedicated to your mythology. This film starts out with a mythology, then just throws it all away in order to get to a climax. That being said, it does do some things well, like setting up the tension between family members who really can't stand each other. The practical effects are good and meld well with the CGI. It's atmospheric and claustrophobic when it needs to be, but also has a good sense of humor. I highly recommend it for a holiday viewing party. So gather up some friends and give it a try. There, was that good enough?
Yeah, Abba, I must leave something for you to remember what is the true meaning of Christmas. That is what Christmas is not about. Remember it.
Okay, Beekly, here's a nice Christmas story to go to sleep on.
Nice Christmas story, not Natty, not Carrie. Beekly want nice Christmas story.
No, not scary. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
Beekly like mouse.
The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.